Commissioner David Gammon,
Present.
Commissioner Dodd,
Present.
Commissioner Johnson,
Here.
Commissioner Buchanan, Commissioner Gooch,
Here.
Chairman McAdoo.
Here. Okay, we've got a quorum. Next thing on the agenda, approval of minutes. Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Chairman, I reviewed the minutes and find them in order and move for approval.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next on the agenda, CCRC plus Generations Connected.
I'll take that. I'll take that first on Generations Connected. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Before we get Adam to come up and talk about CCRC and the actual roof condition, we at the last budget meeting, we were asked to go back and take a look at increasing what we were actually going to pay the employees at the daycare facility, Generations Connected, which is located, you'll see on the map, it's over in our double-wide trailer right here where the cursor is, you'll see on the map. So the intent of what your CCRC board wants to do is build a $4 million facility right back in between these trees over here where the cursor is, you'll see on the map. And so we've had several presentations, one from the state. We checked into the bonding with our bonding agent between the last budget meeting because CCRC back in 98, 99, I think somewhere in that period of time, the county commission made them become a 501c3 and said, you know, we're tired of funding money to you. So either make it or break it, right? Paul, you were on back there with during those hard times, and we have built CCRC to the point where just last month we have a little over $5 million in ending fund balance. So it's very profitable at this point. So the idea came up about 2.5, 3 years ago to build a daycare facility that would hold up to 120 students in the daycare facility. And so the pro forma you'll see on your SharePoint is looking at with a third shift and without a third shift, which would assume without the third shift is 16 hours. It actually starts becoming profitable to pay, we'll be in the black and start making a profit on year 4 towards that $4 million. Community Care was asking to use the credit of the Rutherford County, but I think in talking with our bonding agent, it had never been done that they were familiar with. They checked with the comptroller, et cetera. So the decision is to let CCRC, its board, to move forward, but they don't want to go forward because it can't be done by using the credit of the county. So what they're planning on doing is going to the open market, going to Pinnacle Bank or First Bank or whoever, taking out the loan, the board will, and they will go alone with this. So all they're asking tonight is to get permission to build a $4 million building, which will, at the end of, once it's built, it will become Rutherford County's property. And they will deed it over to you, and they'll just pay the monthly payments until the $4 million is diminished. So all they're doing is asking permission to build this building not asking for any money, not asking for any credit line or backing to go forward. They're just wanting to build a building, which the county will end up owning. That makes sense.
Questions? Yeah, I would just like to bring up one point. Why don't they borrow the money? State, you know, you know what program I'm talking about?
Yeah, the
I read about it all the time. Bedford County do it all the time.
That, talked to Doug Bodery. Of course, Doug is the chairman of the finance committee for the board. He's checking on that, and we could probably, I think by the time we have our next board meeting, which, Rachel, is next week, is that correct? Next Wednesday, that's probably what will be presented. So either we go that direction or go to the open market and bid it. But all we're doing is asking tonight is permission to build the $4 million building on Rutherford County's property. Asking for no money.
Any questions on that? Do I hear a motion to that effect?
Only remark that I have is, Mayor, I know that all the due diligence has been made and all the T's have been crossed and the I's have been dotted. So I move that we go ahead with this.
Well, motion, do I hear a second? Got a second. Any other discussion? Commissioner Dodd?
Will this go to budget before it goes to
Yes, sir.
CCR?
Any money go to budget?
Well, it's not.
Not our,
There's no-
it doesn't sound like it's our, it would become our asset, but it's not our
It will become your
borrowing.
asset, so all you're doing is signing off
Yeah,
on
we
accepting
signing
the
out,
asset.
but it'd be our property.
But you got to give permission to allow them to move forward, you know, because the bank will, or whoever loaning officer will say, you got permission to do this, and yes, here's the minutes and the resolution.
Who did the P&L, the profit, who did the financials? What
Okay, so-
entity?
Yeah, the P&L was put together by the inside accounting department of United Church Homes, is the company we contract with up in Ohio, and they have 32, 33 homes in 7, 8, 9 states, and 2 on tribal reservations. They are the ones who run the day-to-day operations, and we pay them in a partnership. So
And they did their internal pro forma.
Yes, sir. And I think Commissioner Allen had looked at, she thought the numbers were down a little bit low at $13. They've come back and readjusted those numbers since last month and going to pay $16 starting out for daycare. You'll see on that third shift. But the need for affordable daycare in the county. Also, one other thing let me throw out there is that by allowing this to come in and we go to the open market to get financing, then it opens it up to where we would open it up first to county employees to bring their children for affordable daycare. And if we can't get to that 120 number, then we open it up to, like right down the road would be Pillsbury and Rich Products, and others will be able to use this facility. Otherwise, if it was bonded, it would be difficult to open it up to the outside entities other than government entities inside our own government. So they can open it up now by using outside dollars.
Any other questions?
I just want to make sure we have another look at this. We vote, if I trust the wisdom of the motion and the second, but will we have another look at this P&L in budget? Or again, I'm just repeating myself, but we will see this again. This will not go and say, you have permission, go to the market.
No, sir, it'll go to budget and then to the full commission on the 11th. So you got 2 more shots at it, and if you have to ask any questions.
What's the square footage?
I believe it was around 10 or 12,000 square feet. But it will have a certified tornado shelter inside of it as well. So that's what's driven some of the cost.
Commissioner Gannon?
Yeah, this is just a question off the top of the head. may not be a good one, but what about, I know other cities won't, especially Smyrna, Laverne, but could we offer it also to the employees of city entities in Rutherford County?
Oh, sure. Before they start opening it up, to Pillsbury and Rich Products and the others, I'm sure they would open it up if they're willing to drive 30,
I mean,
25
they may not
minutes.
even be, but I just wanted.
But it'll be competitively priced below standard market because the land is already there, okay? So it's not like you have to, if a private entity were to go out and buy the property and build a building with a stainless steel kitchen in it to feed these kids, you're not going to have to do that because there's a kitchen already in the nursing facility and the property is there. So you deduct those two from the overall cost of the complex, and so the price per child goes down, and it will be more affordable, if that makes sense.
Any more questions? Have a motion and a second. Can we call the roll on this one?
Commissioner Gammon,
Yes.
Commissioner Dodd,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Chairman McAdoo.
Yes. Okay,
Mr. Chairman, may I
go ahead.
add one comment about this?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd just like the minutes to reflect, to help remind me and others to the staff position, the Director of Child Care is salary projection of $39,582. And teach, it seems a little low for a director position. And that, so these salaries, I just want to make sure we come back to the salaries when we meet at budget.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure those salaries will be adjusted, but. Okay, under two, now we're ready for Brinks Roofing.
Yes, sir.
And this is also affiliated with the nursing home.
Commissioners, last month, when we first spoke about the condition of the roof and some of the problems that we were experiencing, you asked me to reach out for a professional opinion and have an engineer come out and evaluate the roof, the condition of the roof. So tonight, Rinks Roofing, they've been kind enough to come and kind of just briefly give you a summary of their report and their findings and potential proposals for repair. As you can see, just from the picture that you're looking at right there, that large portion of the roof is that rock aggregated type hot tar roof. That's where we're having the most significant issues with the building, and that is also where we are trying to complete the renovations in F and G halls. Right now, those areas are under construction, and they're currently leaking water. So it's something that we will probably, the engineers feel like we can address. They feel like they can patch those areas temporarily so that we can complete the renovation and not damage the renovation. And then going forward in the future, probably need to look at replacing that section of roof. So, Commissioner,
Yes, you want to call the engineer up here?
if you don't mind, sir.
Can we suspend the rule and call the engineers up? Have a motion to that effect? Second? All those in favor? Come up.
Please.
Thank you. My name is Jason Rinks with Richard C. Rinks & Associates. We are an architectural engineering building consultant. We are not a roofing company. We have no affiliation with any roofing company. So, but we were hired by Rutherford County to come and observe the roof condition that you've currently got. The EPDM roofs that you've currently got are coming close to being 20 years old and are running to the extent of their useful service life. But with when we talked with staff, they did not have any leaks in that area. And when they did, they could call a roofing company out and they could fix them fairly quickly. As Adam was saying, F and G wing, which has the aggregate surface cold tar built up roof, is F and G wing are the ones that are currently under renovations inside, and that's where they reported the majority of their leaks and are having issues. Obviously, it would make some sense to try to get that area temporarily do some repairs so that the renovations do not get damaged. And I think we estimated that to be roughly around $30,000 to come have a roofer come out, do some temporary repairs to the roof, and get that hopefully dried in so that the renovations could continue. To replace F and G wings, we estimated around $800,000 to replace that roof section. We also looked at the other roofs as well, and we have given estimates for those roof sections as well. I don't know if that's been passed around to you, but that has been issued to in our report that we when we looked at the roofs earlier this month. But currently, F and G wings are giving you the most issues and require attention, at least repairs, so that the renovations can continue. And then just a roof replacement will be necessary down the road. And then, but also consideration should be given to looking at some of the other roofs that are coming. They're already out of warranty, 20-year warranties, and are getting old and probably need to be replaced as well, and start budgeting for those. But right now, those are doing pretty good. In 2020, we repaired Section 3, which was giving them a lot of issues at the community care, replaced that roof, and then we did some repairs to all the other wings, the EPDM roofs. And at the time we completed that project, we had pretty much stopped the leaks on the building, but since then, F and G wings have, I guess, deteriorated and are giving you more issues and concerns. Any questions?
Commissioner Dodd?
Thank you, Chairman. The 800,000 is an estimate to replace just the built-up roof.
That is correct, yes.
What's brown in the big picture, Mike, if you go back, the brown roof, the bottom left, that whole
Bottom left, that is
area,
correct,
800?
yes. That's our rough estimate. And of course, with the volatility is with the construction market,
Yeah.
we can't guarantee that.
And the other part that's a membrane or black in color, were you referencing it at all in your comments about it's getting close to its 20-year
Yes,
warranty?
all of your roofs, except for that one wing that kind of crosses over on D wing, are coming close to being 20 years old. And I don't think there's a warranty on those roofs at all either. But from the staff, when they report leaks there, those roofs are fairly easy to fix. You know, you find a hole, you find an open flashing, you can fix those fairly easily. The aggregate surface built-up roof that you've got over there that's giving issues, it's a little bit harder to find the leaks, a little bit harder to find the material to fix, and kind of trial and error. And they're having issues with that, getting those leaks taken care of.
Yeah.
That second picture, Mike, showing the black stuff, Mr. Dodd told me, Adam told me that was actually tar from the exterior coming down the wall, right?
Yes, that roof is a coal tar pitch roof. And the good thing about coal tar roofs is you can put it on a flat roof, and then it has a self-annealing property to where it has a low melting point. So whenever it gets real hot, 95 to 100 degrees,
As it's been.
sometimes you get cold flow down through the roof, and it comes down as tar on your walls.
So this is in the new wing that we're,
That is an F and G wing.
F and
where
G
you-
wing
yes.
that we got the Christie Houston grant to remodel. We just finished G and starting on F, I believe. The contractors are out there now remodeling
Yes.
that wing. I talked with Lisa today, and and with Adam as well. And it's my recommendation to this committee that you go ahead and let Adam start working with Rinks, put together bid specifications, and with delay of construction and everything else, I would go ahead, my recommendation to this committee is to go ahead and get your bid specifications, put it out to bid as quickly as possible. Because otherwise, this roof is going to continue to ruin what they're out there bringing in new in both those two wings.
Correct, yes.
I have to bite the bullet.
Commissioner Gooch?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the $800,000 estimate, what type of roof would that be?
That was budgeted based on a black EPDM roof, similar to what we put on Section 3 in 2020, and then what you have on the other wings as well.
Okay, I'm not an expert on this, but the foam type roof, Mayor, that we've used on the courthouse and I think others, would that be an appropriate option to look at?
How about the acrylic?
Right.
Yes.
What we use on the sheriff department.
Mm-hmm.
You could use that, but you would have to bump the gravel off of it. That would be an option. But typically, when we replace the roof, that is usually a repair, like a restoration that you used on the courthouse. When we replace the roof, we usually go down to the metal deck and then come back up. And then some of those coatings that you use for restoration, by the time you use those, you're better off tearing it down to the deck and coming back up anyways. Those are fairly high-priced coatings that you use.
Okay, so and y'all may have to help me remember, but wasn't it that the acrylic roofs were like half the price, or?
A little less than half.
Pardon?
A little less than half the price.
A little less, so I'm curious, the prep work that we would have to do, would that not still be, or could it be still less than going back to the aggregated tar or whatever?
We would not go back with an aggregate surface built-in roof. Very few roofing companies use aggregate surface because you have to have a hot kettle, and it's just not used as much because it is labor intensive. It costs more, and you just have to have the kettle, the smell. So a lot of, most people are going with single ply roofs now, either a white TPO or black EPDM. We've seen some of the restorations being used like restorations to, I guess, kind of give you a couple more years on the service life. But they're, for the most part, they're not, you can get a 20-year warranty, but we're not big fans of those. We're just not a big fan of coatings, acrylic coatings and stuff like that.
Commissioner Johnson?
Question. How many square feet of area are you talking about?
The aggregate surface roof is 21,770, 22,000 square feet.
What does that basically work out with your estimate?
$30, $35 a square foot, roughly something like that.
Considering the volatility of the market with asphalt and all this and everything, is that pretty reasonable in your line of thinking?
That's the best we can do. I hate to say this, but with the cost of the construction materials and the delays that you've got in construction materials, we've had some jobs that we've bid the job, waited 9 months for materials, and then the price increases up because of the materials during that time. So we try to do our best, and we try to estimate high for that.
Well, I'm not in the construction business, but the people that I talk to, just a regular asphalt roof for a house is about $100 a square.
Yes, the availability of shingles is a little bit better than low slope. The problem with the low slope roofs that we're seeing now is the insulation. A lot of delay times on the insulation, getting the materials, and then some delay time in getting the membrane as well. We just had everything hit perfectly with the pandemic, and and some key components and ingredients into the isocyanate have pushed delay times down to like 9 months to 12 months. With an EPDM roof that we got on, like the Section 3 that we did in 2020, we got a 20-year warranty. And that's got a 60 mil EPDM on it. You can also get a 90 mil EPDM that gives you a 30-year warranty. So you can get a 20-year or a 30-year warranty on new EPDM roofs. So that is an option.
How much difference would it be for a 30-year versus 20-year?
Usually it's fairly minimal, roughly 10%, and you're paying for the thicker membrane, but your insulation, for the most part, is the same. You're just paying for the additional thickness of the material and a little bit more for the 30-year warranty for the manufacturer to stand behind it.
Okay.
Probably 50 to 60,000, maybe. Probably 60,000, maybe. Just a wild guess, 7 to 8%.
Mr. Dodd?
My only, I mean, this is dire, but my only hesitation is we're lay people, we're not contractors. We may have some awareness, and the roof on this building, I thought we were sold on a permanent. It was a permanent roof, not a temporary. It had a warranty that a warranty that we could also increase the mills and increase the warranty, and it was significantly cheaper. Granted, the rock is going to have some demo choice, but I've got to be reminded on what we did on this roof. The sheriff's department.
Sheriff's department especially.
Did we do a building out on Park Avenue?
Yes, sir, we did.
We did 3 total buildings last year or 2 years ago.
We did 4. We did this one. We did Journeys. We did the one next door where maintenance is. We did old maintenance in the sheriff's office. So it was 4 with the liquid
And we
application.
can't.
And that was a 15-year warranty with a 10-year renewal.
So and I can't articulate to you what were the specs and what was the product, but we have to entertain that, because we had good luck here 2 years ago.
Yeah, so a few questions real quick. So who will be sending out the bid specs and who will be approving?
If y'all elect to use us, then we can do the bid spec, and then I don't know if it has to go out to 3 contractors or if it has to be an open bid at a certain price. I'm not familiar with y'all.
Would it go to purchasing, Mayor?
Yes, sir.
What I would like, just because we don't know, is to have the bid specs written that it could be either the conventional EPM or the liquid that we've used.
If we're going to repair the aggregate surface built-up roof, it has to be something compatible with that, and EPDM and single ply is not compatible with the aggregate surface coal tar.
Well, I thought you were talking about replacing.
Yes, if we replace it, that's correct. I did not know we were talking about the replacement. I'm
Talking
sorry.
about replacing, that's
Which-
800,000.
What's the 800,000?
800,000 is to replace it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yeah, when we send out the bid specs for the total replacement.
Okay, gotcha. Yes,
Now,
sir.
I think you talked about a 30,000 to temporary
Repair,
fix.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
That's okay, but when we do the bid specs for the replacement.
Yes, sir.
If we could use the EPM and the other options, the liquid options. Is that doable?
I would have to do a little bit of research on that.
Okay.
Like I say, we have not done a lot of coatings, and we've heard from some contractors when you do a total replacement with the coatings, it's almost the same price as an EPDM. That would be something that we'd have to look at and see, and that would be the designers, whoever the designer or record is.
At least we'll know, the best option and the most cost-effective option. And I think we've probably got some names that we could help give out for the bids.
Okay.
So are we looking for a motion, or what are we?
We probably need a motion on the temp.
I think Adam had a comment or something.
You wanna? Yeah. I doubt it, but
Ask as many questions as you need to.
because I got a question myself. My question being, we went through this before with the sheriff department. It was a big argument that what we did wouldn't work and all this stuff. They made a presentation on roofs and roofs and roofs, putting roofs in, and it was twice the amount. And then we just took a chance and went with the foam, and it was less than half, and it was one of the best things we ever done. So on these bid specs, why can't these bid specs be presented to this committee first, so we can ask questions about them? Why can't it be done here first before you put it out? We can discuss foam, and it might be something else we want to discuss, but why can't we discuss it here first before any bids go out for this roof? That's my question.
That question is to the committee or to the gentleman?
If anybody want to answer it, if we have to vote on it, that's fine with me, but I think it should come to this committee first with the bids, so we can discuss it.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion, and if we need to tweak it, or if I'm off base, we can go back, but,
We'll suspend it to here. We have to wait till we bring it back.
but we're still in session.
Yeah, just hold on to your motion.
Okay, so,
More questions from the engineer, for the engineer?
I don't have any questions.
Oh, if not, I'll call the committee back in session. You have anything you want to present before we? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
Commissioners, one of the differences between, it is the style of roof system that we are looking to repair. Like this building with a TPO type system already in place, then that roofing system can be prepped, and then those that material that you're referring to, that coating, can then be applied, whereas in this in particular case, that system is not in place. So it's basically, you would have to install a system that would accept a coating. That's
okay, so
that system, that roof that we're looking to replace, you can't coat that system, that type of roof.
so what would we have if, but is there prep work to make it where you
Well,
can coat?
Well, I mean, basically, you're going to have to install. You would have to demo that entire roof system, and then you would have to build it back with like a standard decking type. So you're still building it back, and then some sort of covering for that coating to be applied to.
Okay.
So,
Well, let's look at this motion, and then maybe we can, obviously discuss it and change it. But my motion is to have bid specs for the replacement, which those bid specs will be brought back to the Property Management Committee. Both bid specs for EPM and the liquid acrylic coatings.
Sound good to me. Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this motion?
Now, I guess the bids that would come in from the coating would need to also include the demolishing, what they need to demolish and build back, and that may be cost ineffective, but we don't know. So,
I have no idea. The only reason I like this motion, because we heard this before. Out there at the sheriff department, it was a flat roof, you had to gravel, and they had to clear it off and do a bunch of stuff, but it saved us over half. So anything that's gonna save us money like that, we gotta look at, in my opinion. So is there any more discussion? If not, call the roll.
Commissioner Gammon,
Yes.
Commissioner Dodd,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
yes.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Chairman McAdoo.
Yes. And whenever you get the bids.
yes, sir.
Okay. Next on the agenda, proposed MTE easement across county property at Florence Road and Singer Road. Mike Hughes.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman. This is the first of two Middle Tennessee Electric requests for an easement. It is on the property that the county owns at Florence and Singer. There is, if I can zoom in enough to let you see, there's an existing electric line that kind of moves through diagonally along the southern part of this property, and I'll pull up the easement. This gray line is the existing power poles. They would like to move these power poles closer to Singer Road, but to do so, they will need to get easements through three parts of the county's property. This larger part here, this smaller one, and then this long and skinny one. So what they're requesting is that we move the easement, the lines closer to the road, and that's the power lines, the cable and the phone lines would also follow with that once Middle Tennessee Electric moved the lines. So that would open up more land available for us. Right now they have a prescriptive easement, and this would be parallel to Singer Road, so that would open up more usable land on the county's property.
Okay, is there any questions for Mike?
That will release us from the other easement?
Right. That once the lines are moved, the prescriptive easement dissolves. They don't have an actual recorded easement. Well, they actually do have one on this small parcel here that was platted. There is a platted easement across here, but these others are what they call prescriptive easements, that wherever the line is, they have 20 feet on either side.
That county, that one you're talking about?
Yes, sir. All these parcels, this long skinny one, this one that says number 1, this parcel, and this parcel here.
I misunderstood. What kind of easement do you say that is? Is that a house?
This is a house that the county owns.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Kind of see the line.
Is that for a power line there?
Yes, that was a power line that went to, goes to the gas company, and I think it dead ends there.
Will that line move too?
Yes, that line's moving as well.
I think that'll be,
It's
that's
more
gonna
usable
help
space
us
for
then.
us. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
that'd be good for us. Any more questions for Mike on it? Mr. Dodd?
Mike, will Middle Tennessee Electric pay for the move and removal of the old poles, and is there any aid to construction, and will they clear the right-of-way of trees?
Yes, they will do that. They will pay for the lines to be moved. This is their proposal to move the lines forward, not at our request or anything like that. Unfortunately, they won't pay us for the easement, but it opens up more usable space.
A motion to approve.
Motion and second. Any other discussion? Not. Call the roll.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Dodd,
Yes.
Commissioner Gammon,
yes.
Chairman McAdoo.
Yes. Okay, next, proposed MTE easement across county properties on West Thompson Lane. Mike?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman. This is the second Middle Tennessee Electric request, and it is actually on two parcels that the county owns. The large parcel, you can see, is Siegel High School and Siegel Middle School. The property is listed as Rutherford County government as the owner. That's why we're bringing it to you. And then I have mentioned this to Trey Lee at the county schools about that, and he will bring it to their board as well, just to let them review it. But there is a smaller parcel that the county owns in the corner that we had planned to put, I think, an EMA station there at one time, but they will need to move their lines in conjunction with the widening of Thompson Lane. and I'll kind of show you that. So Thompson Lane is being widened to 5 lanes from the 2 to 3 lane section it's in. And then also, one of the things that's happening there, they're going to have a 10-foot wide sidewalk they're going to call a multi-use trail or lane or something, so you can walk, bicycle, or whatever on this lane. So they're not putting in bike lanes, they're putting in this wide multi-use lane. This is the first one on this small parcel that originally was supposed to be an EMA station long ago. Unfortunately, this is moving towards the county's property, away from the right-of-way, to give them adequate room. The red line is where the poles will be going. The green line is the existing power poles that need to be moved with this widening project. So this blue area is what they're asking, and essentially it's 20 feet on either side of this line, this main line that they're moving. And the second one is across Siegel Middle and High School property, and mostly it's not an issue, but there is one area I asked Trey to look at right here by the baseball field. They have a scoreboard right here and a light for the field, and I asked him to go out and look at it and make sure the power lines wouldn't interfere with those items right there. So this is needed for the widening of Thompson Lane. You see they're putting in actually a turn lane here for the schools, so that's even wider section than the normal 5-lane section that they're putting in. So that's part of the genesis for widening on this property. It goes through the rest of the school's property.
Okay, any questions? Commissioner Dodd?
Mike, what is the green utility on the north side of Thompson?
That is, I believe, sewer line. They're showing the utilities. Let me double check. I've got layers here. Yes, that is. It's red on this map. These are sanitary sewer lines for the city of Murfreesboro. Actually, I believe that's it. Let me see.
Is that a 20-inch water on our side?
Yes, yes. So this is the current location of the power poles, the electric lines that I'm talking about. So they will creep towards the ball field, and that was the only one that I saw that might be a potential conflict with the scoreboard and the light. This is the light for the ball field.
Commissioner Gannon?
Do we think if we have to move the scoreboard and that light, do you think they would help us with that?
I believe we would have to talk to Middle Tennessee Electric on that. But I would say that if it is an issue, let me turn to if it is an issue that I would think that they would help us with it. This is kind of another perspective. This is pictometry, which is kind of a bird's eye view. Spinning it around so you can kind of see. So this is the power line right now, and it's moving a lot closer to the outfield fence, field light, and the school board. So that's why I asked Trey Lee with the county schools to look at these and make sure there wasn't a conflict. They are hugging the a little bit wider right-of-way. The TDOT, when they presented the plans to us for widening Thompson Lane, which is State Route 268, they acquired a little bit of right-of-way from across the high school, middle school property, and also the EMA property farther back to the west. But they are hugging the right-of-way up here because of the lack of room, I guess you should say. But they do have a 20 feet on either side of the pole. So on this side, it just wherever the right-of-way ends would be the end of their easement. Follow me. So this is their request.
Questions? Mr. Dodd?
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve with only if the school board also approves. And secondly, if in the future the scoreboard or that baseball light goes down and needs repair, that Middle Tennessee Electric would not force us to move it at that time.
I can relay that to them. Yes, sir.
Got a motion, you have a second? Got a second from Commissioner Gooch. Any other discussion? I just want to bring up one thing is that Middle Tennessee Electric is the one asking for the easement, right?
Yes, sir.
So why would I have to share, be a partner with them in the cost of moving the scoreboard and the light?
Yes, sir.
Why can't they move it themselves? They want the easement.
Yes, sir. We would have to relay that to them, that our concerns. I did tell the person that requested this that you know, with the close proximity of the line moving over, that you know, we did have some questions about the lights being in the way or the power lines being too close to the field lights or scoreboard. So
Mr. Dodd?
And I may not have been clear. Rachel, can you read my motion back, please?
To approve the Middle Tennessee Electric easement on West Thompson only if the school board approves and if Middle Tennessee Electric will help in moving, should it need to be moved.
My intention is that Middle Tennessee Electric pay for any obstacles that have to be moved, number one, and that they pay for those in the future if they have to be moved. It's to clarify, that's my motion.
Okay.
And to clarify, if the scoreboard light goes out 5 years from now, and Middle Tennessee finds an opportunity to say that is in our easement, now we want it moved, that could very possibly happen. So I want to protect us in perpetuity. If something in that easement has to move, that I want Middle Tennessee Electric to pay for it.
Yeah, put the cost on the MTC. I like that. Yeah. Any other discussion? Not, call the roll.
Commissioner Gammon,
Yes.
Commissioner Dodd,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Chairman McAdoo.
Yes. Okay, next on the agenda, Ag Extension Fee Proposal for AE Services, Community Kitchen and Education Space. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, I had asked Mr. Marshall to come. Of course, he's over the Conservation Board, and asked him to come tonight, and Anthony is here as well as other board members. They were looking to, I would assume, Mr. Marshall, look for money to go forward with architectural and engineering for a facility.
Yes,
If you want to explain what the board's looking to do.
Yes, sir, and Thank you for allowing us to speak tonight. This is a follow-up. I was here a few months ago to give the committee a heads up that the board had been pursuing the possibility of engaging with a third party to help us with, because of the growth and the usage of the facilities at Lane Agri Park, our programming has expanded to the point where we need to look at additional space and the possibility of an additional building on the campus to help us with educational outreach, with programming that exists there, and also that we would like to add with it, including community processing or kitchen area for producers there in the community as well. So that's why we informed the committee the last time that we were going to pursue this, and now we're ready to officially head in that direction and also look at partnering with a vendor to help us with that process.
And I would assume, well, the Conservation Board be looking to this committee and the commission to build the building, I would assume.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there, and I totally support that 100%. I think it's a great thing and continue to use that. But then members, we have been approached also by Michael is here from PAWS, and so looking at the location to where Conservation Board wanted to build this building, the thought process, and throw it out in front of the committee to see. Michael is here to talk about how overcrowded his facility is at PAWS and have no room to expand. If there were some way that PAWS could be built on where the horse ring is, and then just turn around and remodel the building where they're located, because it's basically a shell of a building, concrete floor and brick walls. Give that to, how much square feet? And I think that's what the committee needs to look at, is the need for Michael, to get him to come up and talk about what you think your needs are going to be on square footage, and what the needs, John, what you all are projecting to put in a kitchen, stainless steel kitchen to teach cooking and I would assume home economic type stuff, I would assume, educational.
Well, and it's a little bit more than that too, because really it's to help us have the additional programming for our students in 4-H or in agricultural education. And there are many aspects of that where they cook things or prepare things or process things, but also we have people in the community that grow items that don't have the ability to have certified kitchens in their homes because of cost. And there are many communities throughout the state that have created opportunities or facilities like this that are certified. So community members that grow products that can't afford those opportunities can come in, and those can be processed in a certified facility, so then they can also sell those things like at a farmer's market, because those items have to be certified and approved to be able to do that. They just can't do it in any old home kitchen and come and sell those things. So it's a service for the community in addition to an educational component, along with multi-use space we need for the program and education kitchen area side of it too, because the facility in itself is used constantly. If you ever buy there, it's constantly being used in every aspect of it, agriculturally, but also as a service to the community that use it for different things like that. So it's kind of a multi-use in addition to that processing ability.
But we don't have one now, right? This would be new for us. It's a great opportunity for all the citizens that could have access to this. So I guess what is before you is, do you want to move forward and then look for some other location for PAWS, or PAWS is out there, which was on property that we purchased from Mr. Lane, I guess. Pardon me? I don't think he donated any property. Mr. Lane.
He sold it, but I think there was a part of it that some money was donated, or
Donated.
it wasn't fully donated, but there were some things that were given back, or he helped us with it that,
I think Steve and his brother did quite well on what we bought.
Yeah, he did quite well, but he probably could have done better, but.
That's true. That's true. So here's the, I guess where this committee is moving forward with the request that John and his board has, as well as trying to meet the needs of what Michael has. And if maybe, Mike, you could come up and present what your needs are, and then let you all decide, I'm not going to be here in another month. But now's the time to start that discussion.
We need to suspend the rule, but he's part of our.
Why are we convoluting the request? The request is about a professional study for the ag department's specific needs. Why are we,
well,
if his needs say he needs the square footage we already have?
The site is where the horse rink is.
Sure.
That's where they want to build the building. Well, also, PAWS was looking at that space as well because they're landlocked. When Mr. Burgess was here, they actually tried to buy the property right behind the current facility, but it was bought and new apartments are there, and they have no real place to exercise their animals. So it's not convoluting, it's basically just having discussion as to where is the best place, and could you actually remodel the current PAWS building. If you were to build a new PAWS building, remodel the current PAWS building that would accommodate his needs. That's all. I wanted to bring that before you for discussion, not to convolute that.
Is PAWS 6,000 square feet?
I think you need to do both.
PAWS 6,000 square feet? And so the ag department's looking for a 6,000 square foot building, and we've jumped to getting out of a 15,000 square foot building when we can barely keep you a staff. We've been struggling to keep enough money in your staff, and now you're looking at a new building. That's just too much going on when the ag department wanted $15,000 to study a 6,000 square foot building for a commercial kitchen.
Well, before you get down the road, it's not that confusing. It's just before you get too far down the road on that site, where if you're going to try to find something for PAWS, and he's at 15,000 square feet, the only real site that you have is where they want to put the 6,000 square foot. So could you put what his needs are into his existing 15,000 square foot and go and build, Mike, a larger facility for the animals? Because this county, with the number of dogs, especially since COVID, everybody had to have a dog or a cat because they were shut in, and now they don't want them. And so he's overwhelmed and out of space. So that's only the discussion. I just didn't want you to get too far down the road and, we're committed here, and what we're going to do with PAWS. Okay? Trying not to confuse everyone, but now's the time if it's going to be discussed. Otherwise, just go ahead and talk to them about 6,000 square feet, and then you'll have to probably go to some other location on property that we don't own. It'll cost you more money.
Is PAWS agricultural use? We can only do agricultural use on Mr. Lane's property. Are you agricultural?
I asked the Register of Deeds yesterday to send me over the stuff, and they went through that information with me. It was signed in 2001 that for 50 years it had to be used for those specific purposes. There was an addendum, I believe it was in 2003, that specifically went back to the Lanes and asked, are they okay with the animal shelter being built where it is now? And they said they felt they didn't have feelings one way or the other, so they approved it, but they went ahead and did kind of an addendum just to make sure that it was all legal at that time. Does that answer that question, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other questions? Commissioner Gooch?
So it appears to me, if I understand this right, that we've got two needs, and they're kind of bubbling up at the same time, so we want to see if we can kind of, I guess, look at the best situation for each. I would like to hear from Michael at this time to see what his needs are and what options that we have on the Lane property, and then circle back and see if we decide to go that, or at least talk about going that route, and then could the kitchen be put into the old PAWS building, so to speak, and maybe section off, if they only need 6,000 square feet, if it's 15,000 square feet, then section it off. We'll always find a use. There will be a use coming up. I think we all know that. So if we don't mind, Mr. Chair, if we can hear from Mike at this time.
Mike?
To answer a couple of your questions there, our original thought, let me back up. When I went to the mayor with our budget request this year, I indicated to him some space needs that we were having, and to start the process of at least talking about this, that we needed to have some type of a plan. We've gone through space issues for quite some time and knew that we were landlocked there, like the mayor said. We sit on about 2 acres. Our building is 15,000 square feet. It was built, started in 2003 when we had a population of 202,000. Of course, we're at 355 now. There were also things that, of course, I wasn't here in 2003 during that planning process, but animal control has changed a lot then. Of course, with the growth of our county, much more employees. Animal population-wise, not necessarily a ton of change, but there has been change there. But our biggest thing is space for staff and space for parking. Parking has become the big issue. We have 38 parking spaces. We have 39 staff. If I take my shifts, we're using an average of 26 parking spaces every day just for staff there at the shelter. That doesn't leave hardly anything for the 22,000 people that we had come in last year, and that doesn't count the folks that came through receiving as well. So we're looking at probably another 10,000 between surgery programs and those type things. So parking has been an issue, and that was what was expressed back in probably 2015 or so to Mayor Burgess. The original thing that was brought up during the budget process was that obviously that land can only be used for that one specific purpose. So if we get a different facility, that building can only be used for the purposes for those next 50 years that the lane's put in there, and just hating to see a building sit empty that still maybe has possible some usable life. I know the mayor just mentioned the part over at the Ag Center. With us being on 2 acres now, I think that we would probably be having to look at a site that's a minimum of 5 acres, but I think also that we need to have the foresight to plan a little bit further along. I didn't anticipate being here now, and y'all probably didn't anticipate me being back 18 years after they moved in the building saying we need more space. But had we had a lot at that time that was 3, 4, 5 acres, we'd be coming back saying, hey, we need to add an addition to add a few office spaces, and we need to add a few parking spaces. But now we're back to where we're landlocked, and we really don't have a lot of choice but to do something different, or at least start that conversation. I can tell you, just based on kind of what the projections are showing, I know Williamson County has done a new shelter. Theirs is 30,000 square feet. They're serving a population of 257 right now. Their shelter was projected to go for around 20 to 25 years, which would put them at 2050, a population of 418. Our projections here for 2050 are 589. I just think we need to plan ahead, which is maybe, I don't know what happened back, in 2003. Obviously, I wasn't here. But had we had a couple more acres, or had we been able to purchase where that apartment complex was, it'd be a totally different conversation now. The only place that we have to go now is to start taking up parking spaces or try to go up. But even if I do that, it doesn't help me with the parking situation. Does that answer all of your questions, Commissioner Goose?
And so, I guess, is there a recommendation on the property where this building could go?
The horse rink that's no longer being used is where I think they had identified to put that location that backs up to the pond. Is that 5 acres?
I couldn't answer that question.
Anthony, shaking your head, yes.
Use of that.
You use a horse rink? Okay. Is there 5 acres? I think what the county needs to look at is to identify 5 acres to where they could start planning, whether it's this year or 2 years or 3 years, to build him a new facility since he's cramped, and do the same thing for John. I don't know where they plan on building his. The horse rink was mentioned to build the cooking facility at that same where the horse rink is used. They don't have the Exchange Club horse show anymore or anything, do they? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, you all are the property management committee, so just wanted to start the process of planting the seed on both locations so you can start looking as you all move forward and helping both these departments.
So Klein Sweeney had a proposal to study the kitchen. Could we, I mean, I hate to just volunteer to spend more money, could we expand that? Because we've got three competing needs. The horse arena is used, and it is part of the 5 acres that Michael needs, and you guys need a kitchen, which prompted this. So could Klein Sweeney facilitate you three getting together? And Trey, do we need to entertain how to resolve the conflicting needs?
I think we need to probably get all stakeholders involved in a meeting to see the actual needs, looking at the property to see, what our options are available. Is there, like, as far as a kitchen, is there an immediate need, or how immediate?
Well,
are we wanting a kitchen, or we're needing a kitchen, and what time frame were you looking at?
Well, and I know it says kitchen, but it's really not just a kitchen.
I understand.
It's not going to be just everybody's in one room and it's a kitchen in there. There's education space, there's meeting rooms, there's because the current kitchen we have now is not set up for any type. It is just basically there. If we have events, you can bring something in and warm it up. It's not really set up for any type of training or education. So we're not able to provide that at all on site currently with the facilities we have.
I think that'd be cool. We got RCTV. We could do, film cooking shows and,
I guess my recommendation would be we just kind of need to pause everything right now because we've got 3 things coming at us, and I think that the stakeholders, Mr. Chairman, might need to get together for, I guess, a space needs conversation, and maybe the chair could attend those meetings, and then we kind of get a path forward.
That's good.
I don't want to hold off the training kitchen facility, but we may have to postpone it for a while until we get everything figured out, if that makes sense.
Mike's new building, I believe, Adam, we've got 6 new direct vent fresh air HVACs, 5 new direct air. So we just sunk a lot of money into that building, because of the animals being there. You got to have the fresh air, and those units are that much more expensive to get those type of facilities. It's a great building. I mean, structurally, so it can a lot. But I think you're headed in the right direction to get all the stakeholders together and then look to see what property you actually have and how you can accommodate all 3 of the needs.
And part of the study could be if the training kitchen
It's okay.
is only needing 6,000 square feet, I may have heard, and there's 15,000 square foot. Where could it go in that building possibly, and what could we just kind of leave alone as a shell for future growth of? And there's going to be future growth somewhere in a county department that could possibly go there. So, do we need a motion on this, or just, Mr. Chairman, you take care of it, or?
I can take care of it. I don't think we need no motion. Let's all the stakeholders get together and look at the future needs. And I myself personally would like to see input from our home ec department, from the school system. They have some input on this. And also I'd like to see our ag department at MTSU have some input on it also. Because we got that out there, and we may as well use all the qualified educational systems we got in doing this study. So I have no problem with that. Do you have a problem with that? Problem with that? Home ec, Rutherford County School System.
Chairman McAdoo, may I muddy the waters just a little bit more?
You got a home ec department?
Sorry. This property is, Lane Agri Park is within the city limits, and it was developed and designed as a planned commercial development. So any changes to that plan will have to be revised and go back through their zoning process for review if we're adding buildings or changing stuff. So that's another factor that you'll have to look at as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but I don't see no problem with this.
No, sir. Yes, sir.
I'd hate to be Murphy's
It's just an
trying
extra
to
hurdle.
explain
Yes,
why
sir.
you turned this down.
Did have an additional future building on that plan that was approved by them, though, in that site concept that was approved by the city. There was a museum/multi-use building, which may help.
So do
I
you
think
have
at the
an
very
idea?
I think at the very beginning, it was, before it was annexed into the city, there was going to be a police department precinct and, you know, got the lake, if you want to call that a lake, that was put in there.
Do you have any time frame or meeting schedule? Do you three want to get together and come up with some dates and times that you want to have a meeting and who should be involved?
Probably after his first week or second week of school.
I'll leave it up to you two to do this and get it back to us, get it back to me, and we'll set it up. Okay?
Just call Rachel.
Okay, next on the agenda, Justice Center lease agreement, Cody York.
Thank you, Chairman, Committee. So this is a little unique for me because this really isn't, even though my name is on the agenda by the item to present it, I just happened to be the one that was dealing with the company that's wanting to make this proposal. So really, I think it'd be best if we just invite Steve up, if that's all right with you guys, and let him introduce himself and kind of explain what this proposal is.
Do I hear a motion to suspend the rule? Second? Do I hear a second? All those in favor? Okay. Come on up, Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. County Commissioners, my name is Steve Carr. I represent T-Mobile, which is a wireless communication company. T-Mobile was in desperate need to improve their coverage in the downtown area here. And one of the things that we do first, per the zoning requirements of the municipality with which our coverage improvement need to take place, is we're required to look at existing structures of height before I bring a proposal to build a new tower. So what we do is, there was a rooftop, which is on the aerial photograph before you, which is a building of height that we would actually locate antennas in our equipment cabinet on this rooftop, and entertain a long-term lease agreement with the county to lease rooftop space for our antennas. Part of the process with the city of Murfreesboro is that I need to stealth my antennas so it would not create a visual impact from the ground looking up at the rooftop.
So what we would propose is you currently have on that rooftop is a shield area that currently hides a lot of your HVAC units and various other things to kind of create a streamlined appearance. Our antennas would be located behind that screen, and we would replace that material with RF-friendly materials so that my antennas could broadcast through it. And this long-term lease would be a 5-year lease with 5 5-year extensions, with written into it a monthly rental fee that we would pay the county, and also 10% rental increases at the beginning of each 5-year extension. So year 6, rent would go up 10%. Year 11, rent would go up 10%. Kind of keep up with the cost of living. We visited the rooftop. I engaged my engineers to review the building. To finalize and go into the second part of this process, we needed to obtain some engineering drawings of said building. As soon as that request came in, everybody said, hey, hold on, we need to talk to you all before we get in any further in the process to entertain the possibility of us leasing this rooftop space with the county. So what we have before you is a request to further our design of our antenna installation, and also continue with discussions on signing a lease agreement to have access to this rooftop.
Fair?
Thank you for coming tonight and choosing one of our most beautiful buildings that we just completed about 4 years ago. Is there a certain height that you have to have?
Yes, and this particular location met the obligation of my radio frequency engineer. So there is, I like to be at a higher point. Is there another building in the area that might be able to solve the issue? A lot of the other buildings are much lower in elevation, and I would have to run that by my RF engineers to get the blessing of it.
I'm going to recommend to you that you get him to look at 20 North, right, which used to be the former building for where our courts were. It's right here on the square. It's 5 stories, not 6, as this one is. But I talked to the sheriff today, and the sheriff says that because he would not be able to allow you, because you require 24-hour access to any time to that antenna, and because he incarcerates in the basement of that building and constantly brings in prisoners, he can't allow you. He by code is in charge of that, the security of that building, and it's my understanding that you would not be able to tell us who that person was coming to work on the antenna and service it, which it can't happen. Also, talking to our maintenance director, it could possibly terminate our warranty on the new roof system, the Firestone roof that we put in, based on how you anchored that antenna. So my recommendation to the committee is not to allow the request, but if you could, we'd talk to you about the other building that doesn't have as many issues.
Is that the building that you're
Yes,
looking
sir.
at right now? Do you have another view to where we can go sideways on it?
Mike?
Okay. I would be happy to review the location and investigate it for sure. We like to do these deals with public entities because the public benefits through the monthly rental fees.
Yes, sir. We understand, but
So anytime we can get a situation where it's a win-win for everybody, I think it's the best thing. We did like your nice building.
yes, sir.
And we also do, when we go on rooftops, because we do this all across the United States, we usually hire the people that granted you your warranty to do anything with the roof, and that would maintain the warranty.
Well, and same thing would apply on this building, because it's a fairly new roof system. We just completely remodeled it. We've got new windows coming into this building. It is 5 stories, as you see. I think you could possibly overcome, because that building is secure also. It's our IT building. It is our probations, and also the district attorney has on the 3rd floor his child protective services. So you can't just walk into the building. There would have to be some security, but it's not the same
Less than the judicial building.
than the judicial building. Sheriff's just not going to allow us to
Understood. Okay.
do that.
Well, I'm 5 hours from home, so I'm gonna stay all night tonight and see if I can get on your rooftop tomorrow.
Thank you for staying in Murfreesboro tonight and eating with us. We appreciate that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Thank
you can look at that 5-story building.
Yep, okay. I
didn't mean
appreciate
to-
you guys' time, man.
Sorry, I had to shut you down quickly, but when the sheriff called me today, I was going, okay, Sheriff.
Yep, understood. Thank you very much.
One quick
Yes, sir.
question. You want to make it look like the Batman building in Davidson County?
No, sir. That I will not do. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, 20 North update.
So Commissioners, tonight I just want to bring to you kind of a situation that we've recently found ourselves in regarding 20 North. We're not asking for any decisions to be made tonight regarding the building. I just wanted to make you aware that we will be facing some decisions in the future.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. Adam, I thought we talked about this morning. I think it's a good time for this committee to go ahead and request contractors to come in and start looking at the issue.
Have any numbers for them?
I know you don't have any numbers, but we can, that's where the discussion needs to happen because it's continuing to deteriorate. And we need to take some action as quickly as possible. Chairman, can I explain some of the issues? As you know, we use Cadell to do the remodeling, okay? So during that process, this is an old building. It was built, what, Adam, 1980? So it was recommended to us when we went through the remodeling process from Gresham and Associates, because they came from the new judicial building. Right when I came into office in 2018, they took over this and they told us that we needed to exclude the HVAC. So that was not put into the bid specs when PBA took it on and put out the bid. It was not talked about. Ben Mankin comes into me and tells me, Mayor, there's some issues with this building we might need to take a look at because the insulation inside the ductwork is really bad. Well, nothing happened. Cadell, it's been over 12 months. They're out of their warranty and they're gone. And now we're in the situation in which Adam and his maintenance department has been over there constantly, and with the temperatures being close to 100 for the last several months, it's actually raining inside because of the ductwork has no insulation, it's bare. We found several holes in that HVAC system, and Cody has a server room where there is water. We're having to put buckets underneath, and it's this far away from his servers. We're going to have to move his servers from the water that's dripping from these unlined, uninsulated ducts that are in this building, and that's all 5 floors. It's crazy. Adam, you can add to that, okay? I served it up for you. But I think we need to, this committee needs to be looking proactively at moving forward on getting some people in here to give us some bids on what it's going to take to fix this problem.
Yes.
Well, I can say one thing with those servers and all that over there. We just can't shelve this. We got to get on this quick. So.
I know you got caught flat-footed because you're not prepared to talk numbers, but I think we could give you some authority to get some professional guidance and come back with a number.
Come back next month.
Yeah, next month, or in the interim, shoot out an email. And if it's somebody from Train or somebody that could give you some advice. And
so Commissioner, we've we are actively trying to bring in some, professional contractors to come in and evaluate what exactly it is we're looking at. There are some obvious issues that we've already observed. The mayor touched on the ductwork. There were some access holes that were cut in that duct for cleaning purposes during the renovation. Those access doors were not sealed back up properly. At one time, there was insulation above the ceiling on every level. That insulation is gone. It was never replaced. It's a compounded problem. There are multiple issues going on. So we have scheduled Train to come in and let us know what we could be looking at in the future, and that's where we're at.
Well, you just,
Do you want to touch on the server?
Mark, you just called out more issues than just Train.
Yes, sir.
So therefore, I can only speak for myself. You bring in anyone that you need to take care of those issues and bring it back to us by next month. Because it's serious. If anybody know about servers, it's serious.
Yeah, and absolutely, and I want to kind of start off by saying Adam has been great. I don't think anybody realized how big these problems were, and he is the one that came to me to explain to me how, from a kind of mechanical engineering piece, how big these problems were, and kind of what the nature of the problems were. I'm the computer guy, so I just see water and I'm scared because the computers and water don't play nice with each other. But yeah, we've already got some mitigations. Adam's already put in some kind of mitigations, and we're working with them, and he's been great to work with. But it really looks like we're going to have to relocate our first floor IDF. And quite honestly, it's almost a miracle that we are probably going to be able to do that at a pretty low expense, because right on the other side of the wall is a room that right now probation is using, but it is ideal. It is ideal for a IDF location. There's no pipes above it. There's no water. We don't have the ductwork going across, so we don't have the condensation issues. So, and since it's right across the wall, and because of the way the building was laid out, it appears as if all of our cabling can simply be kind of redirected back over this wall, so we're not actually going to have to rewire everything. So it's going to be remarkably cheaper than it could be. So we're actively working on getting kind of some quotes for that. I don't know if that's something we didn't put in our budget, because this was not an expected thing. So I don't know if that would come back to here or if it would go to budget. I'm not sure.
Yes, sir, we'll need to take it to budget, but, irregardless, it's an emergency, in my opinion, and the budget committee probably will support any action taken to keep from costing us twice as much money.
Yeah, we have hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment in these rooms. So, and replacing them is not as simple as going to Walmart. These switches they're looking at 12 to 18 month lag times to order these switches. We don't have enough to replace a floor like that.
How much of our county network cycles through these machines?
Well, through the building in general?
Yeah.
Well, our fiber loop goes through that building, which it wouldn't, because of the nature of the technology, it wouldn't really be bothered that much by water. The things it plugs into will be. But, I mean, that's where our OIT, that's where our offices are. So there are lots of things would break. I don't know. We have redundancies built relying on the JC and our facilities at the JC. So we could mitigate that, but from my perspective, it would be a sizable impact on the county if we were to have an outage, particularly in the 5th floor, because the 5th floor is the MDF for that entire building. But if you think about it, all the things we touch rely on us being able to touch them, and if we lose that, then we can't do our jobs. But there's, like I say, there's hundreds of thousands of dollars in just the IDF rooms. We also are talking about there's leaks in our shop. So we have, at this point, kind of scooted out. We've covered computers with plastic. We get in hundreds and hundreds of computers. So we probably have about 400 computers right now, laptops and desktops, and those are covered with plastic in the boxes so that the water drips down, will run off of them. So yeah, it is a very serious situation.
Well, I'm thinking, Mr. Chairman, that this is an emergency, and let the committee give Adam the authority to go ahead and bring in some contractors and get some estimates of what it's going to take. I think budget would support, and the full commission would support. I mean, this past year or year and a half, we've sold property that wasn't doing us any good, so we've collected, $1.5 million, $2 million on property and put it back on the tax rolls. But that money was money that could be spent towards something like this that has to be done. So,
Mr. Johnson?
What do we need to do to expedite taking care of this situation from this committee or whatever? I mean, if we need to bypass and go straight to budget or whatever, we just need to go ahead and nip this in the bud.
Yeah.
Commissioner, this is just a matter of me being able to get these contractors in the building. How fast can they get in? How many are willing to come and look at it? I'll get on that as fast as I can. Like I said, I already have one contractor lined up, so I will reach out to some other engineering. That's really what I'm after here, because this isn't necessarily a repair. This needs to be looked at inside, out.
Do you need a motion to affect an emergency situation? Motion to that effect so he can start?
Whatever we need to do, I'll make the motion we need to do it and go forward with it, however it needs to be worded.
In other words, we'll probably be looking at him bringing these people in and looking at it, and instead of trying to wait and come back before us next month, they can go straight to budget. Yeah. Yep.
What you said.
Okay, I couldn't have worded it any better.
Yeah, all right. Everybody understand that? This is being an emergency situation.
Do we need a third and the fourth and the fifth or whatever?
Well, if I think I'm understanding your motion, the motion is saying to give Mr. Dodd the authority to go out and bring contractors in and start work. Go ahead and start work on it.
Take it directly to budget. Go to work.
Okay. Yes.
You got a second?
And I second that. But my question is, during the introduction of this issue, I kind of got confused a little bit. What is that exactly is causing the leak?
We can't pinpoint one in particular issue. There are so many issues. We don't know what exactly it is that's causing it. It starts with evidently during the renovation, there was a contractor that we hired, the county hired. It had nothing to do with Cadell. So we brought in another contractor to clean the duct, or the VAVs. Does that sound familiar? Because, okay.
But go ahead.
So there was some cleaning that took place. In that process, what we're finding is the duct is enclosed. Okay, it's a sheet metal duct. It's enclosed, so it's insulated from the inside and not the outside. So in the process of gaining access to complete this cleaning, they cut access holes in the side of the duct. These holes haven't been sealed up properly. We're finding, I want to say that there are about 44 of these holes that are from the first floor to the 5th floor that we know of. 44 holes that are in the side of the ducts. And this duct is probably 2 foot, 16, 18 inches. It's huge. So instead of sealing back these access holes, they weren't sealed properly, and some of the joints are just, they were just taped up with duct tape. So we didn't really know last year when we first moved in. I think it was April when they moved in, March, April. So over these last several months of that air, channeling through that duct, some of that tape has started to blow off. So you have cold air that the unit's making, forcing it down into the building, and that air is escaping out the side of the duct before it ever reaches the office where it's supposed to go. And that area is an uncontrolled. It's not a controlled climate. It's like an attic. Those areas, we've noticed that there are a couple of findings where they didn't have a big enough piece of material to cover the access hole, so there was a piece of cardboard duct taped over the hole. We've seen holes also in duct where they stuck rags into the holes to plug up the air escaping out of the ductwork.
So is it condensation?
Yes, sir. I'm just giving you a few examples of what we're finding. Also, before the renovation, each floor, 1 through 5, when you went above the ceiling before the renovation, there was insulation above the ceiling. So if you had to go up there and work on something or find a wire, you would lift up the ceiling tile and you would see that insulation running throughout the building. Well, that insulation is missing now. None of the floors have it. So there's no way to separate the hot air in the plenum, and it's an open plenum, so it runs from the front to the back. So there's no way to separate the conditioned air that's cold from the hot air, but a ceiling tile. So we're getting a mixture of hot and cold, and it's forming right on the duct, which is creating a significant amount of moisture. Also, another thing that we found, since you asked, was there was a motor on the unit itself that controlled the louvers, which controlled the fresh air intake. That electric motor had not been working for quite some time, so we've had to pull that motor. There's been, within the last 2 weeks, there were three leaks on that unit. We've lost about $3,000 worth of refrigerant in the last 2 weeks. So it's multiple issues, it's daily, and it seems to be getting worse.
Calling out all these issues, I myself personally, 8 o'clock Monday morning, like to be with you, and we go over, and anybody else that want to come along and look at all these issues. 8 o'clock Monday morning, we'd like to meet with you. Any other committee members that want to meet, we can look at all these issues and get the ball rolling. Because each time he opens his mouth, it's another issue. So I'll be there Monday morning. I don't know. So can we start on that Monday morning, looking at it?
Yes, sir.
8 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
And from this conversation, you're free to bring in whatever trades, whatever
Right.
advice you need to get, and we're prepared to look at an estimate and look at trying to get you funded. We support you completely. You pull in all you need to get us some numbers, and we're good to go.
And I will bring multiple numbers, and I will get opinions and options from multiple contractors.
Gonna run that straight on the budget. I think we had a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If it's not, all those in favor? I call the roll. Call the roll. There'll be money involved.
Commissioner Gammon,
Yes.
Commissioner Dodd,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Chairman McAdoo.
Yes. Okay, next on the agenda, One Stop.
Blackman, One Stop. I spoke to the contractor this week. They are trying to make up some lost time. It's well documented here in this committee that they were behind. They were facing some saturation issues that put them kind of behind. They are, as you can see from the slides now, that they're trying to make up some time. They're in the rough framing stages. They've started some sheathing. They're about 80% on front rough framing walls. The contractor expects the trusses to be delivered this week, early next week, when the trusses should arrive. He hopes to start stubbing up some plumbing and some electrical within the next 2 weeks. These are just some, general pictures of kind of what the site looks like now.
Any questions on One Stop? Okay, next, Public Health and Safety Buildings update.
We'll start with Rockville. So we've also touched on some setbacks with Rockville too. They are a little behind schedule. We've touched on that, I think, regarding material shortages and supply chain issues that they were having. Currently, they are about 90% on their walls. This CMU area is now, I'm actually standing over it there. It is complete, so it's enclosed now fully. The shelter area is what I'm referring to. That's looking down into just different areas of the building, how it's divided up. Give you an idea of some of the showers. Different housing areas. Now at Rockville, the trusses are on site. They've got some structural steel to install, so they hope to start setting that structural steel within the next 2 weeks. And that's kind of where they stand. So that completes my report.
Okay, any questions? No questions. Juvenile detention update.
I'm sorry, man.
Kittrell, you hadn't done Kittrell?
I'm gonna touch on Kittrell, and then Mike's gonna touch on.
Okay, all right, we'll hold up then.
So Kittrell, of course, they started their project behind Rockville, but they are worked thus far. They're on schedule at Kittrell. That's American constructors. They're about 90% on their footings. They're actually starting to build up some walls. As you can see, this picture was taken day before yesterday. They have, you can see, they're starting to do some rough-in, some plumbing, and some electrical conduit that they're running there. After speaking with him, he hopes to have the rough-in completed within the next 2 weeks and to be pouring some slab and go ahead and start pouring some slab. So that completes my report on Kittrell.
Okay. The Las Casas and Walter Hill site plans were approved by the County Planning Commission, and I think I've showed those plans to you before. This is the Walter Hill. It will be at Walter Hill Elementary School. Be in this location. This is the school building, if you know where that's at. This is Lebanon Pike, Jefferson Pike right here. The new station, it will be a mirror image of the other public health and safety buildings, but it will have to sit back a little bit farther because of the width that we're working with of the property in this location. It has, like I said, been approved by the Planning Commission. This will be on city sewer, so unfortunately it has to go through the City Planning Commission, their architectural review, and their hurdles. So that's another step that this site will have to go through. The Las Casas site is right in front of the Las Casas Volunteer Fire Hall. It's where part of the old school building was still in place. That building will be situated just in front of the Volunteer Fire Hall, in front of the ball fields. And because we were taking out a driveway that came up and went back to the ball fields, and if you might remember that we had to purchase some land next door to put in a new driveway for access for the public to get back to the ball fields. So it is progressing. We've submitted for our state stormwater permits. We've gotten the Walter Hill one back already. We're just waiting on the Las Casas state stormwater permit, and then I think modifications to the septic system that's already out there. They're going to add a few lines to the system to utilize this building. But other than that, they're both progressing and moving ahead.
Thank you.
Any questions?
I have one.
Mr. Gannon?
I don't know if it was a big issue or not, but tell us which one. There was something about a turnaround. A truck couldn't make a round, or that resolved? I don't know if it was a big issue or not.
City,
I can't remember.
Well, let me go back to the Walter Hill one. The city wanted us to add some more parking, and we're kind of arguing about that. We've got enough for 2 shifts, for the change in shifts. All the public health and safety buildings are set up the same way. The trucks will come in. The ambulance will come through this way. The fire trucks will have a longer sweeping turn, and they've got 2 bays for the fire trucks here. Oops, in a little bit. The ambulance side will have room for 2 ambulances backed up, one in the back, one in the front. And what we've done, we've added a little turnaround here. So if this front ambulance is gone, the back one's still there, and the front ambulance comes back, he can come up here and then just back into the bay without having to move the other one. So we thought that was a good addition to that. But as far as we know, we've looked at truck turning templates on all of these, and they meet the new fire truck widths and the turning movements. Like I said, the city would like us to add some more parking. We feel we have adequate number of parking spaces, but we're kind of debating back and forth with them on that.
Murfreesboro.
The city of Murfreesboro, yes, because this one has to go through their planning commission because we're hooking into their city sewer. They are reviewing this as well.
Any other questions? If not, juvenile detention update.
Juvenile detention, there's really no update, no changes to report at this time. We're still basically waiting on multiple quotes. We've been given a couple of different opinions on what might work best. We still haven't determined yet if we want to. We were talking about pursuing some additional ventilation system, and we were also thinking about pursuing some dehumidification systems there in that facility. We haven't settled on either one direction. The only thing that we do have is we have some additional insulating of the pipes, of the water pipes. This situation is just a little different from what we're experiencing over at 20 North. Juvenile is a water loop system on a chiller, so it's water pipes that we're dealing with instead of air. But we have scheduled that work, so we're looking to get some additional insulation done on some pipes. But other than that, there has been no changes to report.
Okay. Any questions? No questions. Next, CWC chiller.
Okay, the Correctional Work Center. Over the past couple of months, me and the mayor, I sat down with him and we discussed the possibility of maybe trying to hold on to our old equipment, the chiller that they currently have there. It was something that I thought was important to spend a little time on, even if it didn't work out, which it did not work out. But if the unit was there, I was basically just going to see if there was a chance or from a financial standpoint for us to hold on to the old chiller and maybe also install the new chiller that was already approved and has been paid for. To possibly have as a backup system for the Correctional Work Center. But from a price point, all the numbers we've gotten back, we've got numbers back from several vendors, S&W, Train, National Machine. It's just not feasible to keep it. So what we're going to do, as far as keep it there at the facility, so when we remove that and replace it with the new chiller, we're going to hold on to that unit for a little while, so we have the parts, and because they're compatible. So those parts won't go to waste. That's going to be a valuable thing for us to hold on to in the future. That chiller replacement for the Correctional Work Center is still scheduled for on track for the end of October. 1st of November is when we plan on replacing that with the new one, and that completes that report.
Any questions on the chiller? Is any other business come before this committee tonight?
Mr. Chairman, just a quick update on Goldstein's. 293,000 you all allocated to go to architectural design. Mr. Bart Klein is working with Stan Vault and PBA. PBA will be putting together, choosing the contractors and start interviewing those contractors to come in and take a look at it and see where we are and what it's going to cost to remodel it. That's just an update.
Mr. Johnson?
I have one statement to make. If you missed the ribbon cutting for the Veterans Building from the old maintenance building up there, that is fantastic. thank you, Mayor and Adam and everybody that's involved with that, because that's going to be such an asset for the veterans organizations. And it was a great turnout. And Mayor, you agree with me, they were so grateful, weren't they?
Yes, sir. Kudos to Adam and his department, Bob, and all the guys. They actually took something, I guess they were embarrassed of where they used to come from, and they took pride in making it look so nice for our veterans. But they went above and beyond making that new facility. It's awesome. Of course, we've got Dominic. We moved him out of the Goldstein's building, and you allowed him to hire a new assistant. So he's got a new assistant who can help get those veterans processed and get their paperwork so they can start getting benefits out to VA. And then in the back, there was a business in Nashville that was going out of business, or they were moving and didn't want the furniture, so they pulled up with a semi and had all this furniture and they basically almost filled up all the spaces in there. It's beautiful on the inside. What a great job they've done, and something to be proud of.
Everybody involved did a fantastic job, and that puts to rest the old saying that you can make a silk purse out of a sow's ear, because that's fantastic.
Yes, sir.
Any other business to come before us tonight? If not, entertain a motion to adjourn. We adjourn.